the honesty, the sincerity, the factual backing that some of what I'm going to tell you will come with. Some may come hilarious to you. You may probably just laugh. But we know how we do it on Maiyegun's Diary Politico. You will never lose the message. So remember, as you are settling down, drop your, like that video, share the video. If this is your first time of joining Maiyegun, or if you have been watching Maiyegun everywhere, but you've never really subscribed, do it before we proceed.
Ani Maiyegun lawamo dododo Maiyegun Diary Ani esunraki Maiyegun.
Tell them that Maiyegun is live. Share the video as well, okay? Invite your friends and not your friendly friends. Read the caption of the broadcast. It's so clearly written. The description as well. Read all the body. That's all we're going to be talking about today. So if time permits, we might probably take some calls. Hopefully. If not, we'll do that later tonight during our prime time where everybody really want to be. So we want to talk about pressing the reset button. The reset button. A very critical subconscious button that readily exists in every human soul. Pressing the reset button. Something that the oppressors, career oppressors in Nigeria dread a lot. The systemic breakup of Nigeria. I want to try and bring you to reality, okay? The reality of something that even you, kind of found as a puzzle. Sounds good or too good to be true. But it is the reality. The earlier you begin to live in that reality, the better for you on your subsequent or future judgments, like when they continue to lie to you that an election will fix it. You know it won't. That is the reality. What can you do to change that? A lot. The first one is abstain. When you abstain, you do not give validity. When they tell you that the only thing you need to forge ahead is just unity, that is fraudulent and manipulative. Because unity is exclusively relative. It is not just a word. It comes with actions. The people that brought division, that brought chaos, that brought violence, the people that promoted ethnic division, religious supremacy, they can't preach unity without giving up all those vices. Now, that is what will bring us to reality, which is my own job to do with you. When you begin to be able to differentiate the reality from the fiction that they continue to make you propagate and defend, something that they told you all you needed to do is to do this. Listen, I found out that when people say, do things the right way, we are not saying you shouldn't break up. We are not saying that you shouldn't take over the young people. Or we are not saying that this and that should not happen. But we want you to do it the right way. You know why they say right way? Because there is no right way when you are not the one who determine what is the right way. You know why? The right way is corrupt. They control that right channel. They say, channel your grievances through the right channel. Who controls the right channel? They control the right channel. Example, in a working society where law and order rules, where everybody is equal before the law, whether rich or poor, powerful or powerless, vulnerable or celebrity, trust me, before the law, you should all be equal in a working society. But in Nigeria, You know this difference. You know this disparity, the stretch of what probably differentiates you from them. Now, those who have become powerful through your division, they cannot in any way be part of your redemption or liberation. So when they say go through the right channel, they are telling you to go and register to vote. They are telling you to go and run for offices. They are telling you that if you lose an election, for example, you can go through the courts. Or if you go through the courts and you can go to the Supreme Court. But who controls all these channels? Who? From the point of registering your political party to the point of mobilizing for your voters and even registering to vote, including when you are cheated and you decided to go to court. Who controls those channels? They do. Therefore, it will be back to ground zero. And when they set the rule that they don't obey, you should not obey such rule. And that is why when you match reset starts from here, your mind. Everywhere from your medulla oblongata, where things are cooked up, imagined, practicalized, visualized, and eventually brought to life. Here is where they have managed to take over. When you press that reset button here, that you no longer obey their rules. You are no longer bounded by their laws. You are no longer in any way controlled by their moral ethics set that which they don't follow. It starts from here. They will call you a rebel. When the number grows beyond enormous, they scamper, they scare. It is about to go down. And that is why the job of trying to silence everyone is actually a bigger mission than them enjoying the power they control or wield. Listen, it is like a catch-22. Nigeria is a contraption put together without any one of us's, contribution. No say. When they brought 1999 transition to civilian, they set the rules. They wrote the laws. And then they now handed over to themselves the security, which is the lifeline of any government to start with. And they told you, you can't change that if you want to keep democracy. What kind of democracy is that? That 200 million people agreed to work with a book that they had no clue what was written in it. To start with, you had no say. Starting from the day of amalgamation, the amalgamation to the day of 1999 democracy, even to this day of Daura lifeless breeding mannequin, Mumumadu Bokwari, where jihadists are now those who are setting the rules. There was never a time that you actually had any kind of sovereignty given to you. No sovereignty given to you. None of us. But they coerced you, made you believe that all you needed to be part of a country that you will call yours was to register and vote. Meanwhile, that should be the right channel, shouldn't it? But you know this story. Today, we have the Biafrans who want to leave. We have the Yorubas who want to leave. We have the Middle Beltons who are also considering taking their leave. And having a national conversation around all these differences scared just one people. The Fulani, Hausa Fulani, well, two people this time around, who would like us to see them as one. Their elites, in collaboration with their southern serfs. who continue to march all of us towards the feudalist state that these Fulani jihadists from the Sahel are forcing on us. But guess what? Even when many of them are not coming out publicly to agree with us that the best thing to do to save Nigeria and Nigerians is to begin the process of peaceful dissolution of that fake contraption to save lives. They may not be coming publicly to agree with us. But guess what? The systemic breakup of Nigeria is ongoing. Let me share something with you. And before I even continue, because that's something about Maiyegun's diary, Politico, we received the sad news of the death of Professor Obadiah Mailafia, the professor that warned us that indeed they from Southern Kaduna down to Middle Belt, they have been the bulletproof, taking all the bullets, all the killings for the rest of the Southern Nigeria for the past 6 years. That what you are witnessing in Southern Nigeria right now is just some, spillover from what the death that they have witnessed in the Middle Belt of Nigeria. And it said, from the end of 2021 and from beginning of 2022, their plot is to push everybody into a state of civil war. And many, many things have happened since he told us that. We received the report that he died today in Abuja. So for some of you who don't know who Professor Mailafia is, this is one of his interviews to awaken our consciousness of the danger ahead. This was last year, one of the viral one. Watch.
And the truth. And let me make some revelations, because some of us also have our own intelligence networks.
Okay.
Have met with some of the bandits. We have met with some of their high commanders. 1 or 2 who have repented. They have sat down with us, not once, not twice. They told us that one of the northern governors is the commander of Boko Haram in Nigeria. Boko Haram and the bandits are one and the same thing. They have a sophisticated network. During this lockdown, their planes were moving up and down as though there was no lockdown. Moving ammunitions, moving logistics, moving money, and distributing them in different parts of the country. They are already in the south, in the rainforest of the south. They are everywhere. They told us that when they finish these rural killings, they will move to phase 2. The phase 2 is they will go into the urban cities, going from house to house, killing prominent people. I can tell you, this is the game plan. By 2022, they want to start a civil war in Nigeria. Don't joke with what I'm saying. I have a PhD from Oxford University. I'm a central banker. We don't talk nonsense. So don't joke with what I'm telling you. I have this from the highest possible authority, higher authorities of some of the commanders of the killers and Boko Haram.
You said northern governors, past or present, Dr. Badaya?
No, current. No, they said one of them is the commander of Boko Haram in Nigeria. One of them. And they are not looking for money. They have more than enough money. In fact, he told me they just came back from...
May his soul rest in peace. That's all you say to a warrior who lost the battle of life, while the rest of us continues. You don't know when you're going to stop yours. Use your time judiciously. And they said, in this battle, He will try to protect his life, or he will try to save his life, will lose it. But he who is ready to lose his life will save it. Whatever that means. Use your time that you have now. Do not let the scare or the fear of what Nigeria has done to you continue to speak to you that there is no way out of this. We are done for. When your mind begins to think differently, every other solution proffered to get out of this logjam will begin to make sense to you. If your fear is still your fear, there will be little to really change. Little difference. Use your time well. For those Buhari idiots, Sai barbarians, suffering and smiling morons, trust me, you have the time now that you are still breathing. You can make a difference rather than being a bandwagon, a mob, a sufferhead mob who thinks God loves him because he's a poor man. God loves the poor. That's some trickish BS that they have managed to fix into your head. God loves the poor man. Not in this case. Systemic breakup of Nigeria. Systemic. Those who didn't agree with us, those who said that asking to break up Nigeria is extreme. Come on, let's have a chat. Now they are not having a chat. Before taking their own systemic, step-by-step, the breaking up of Nigeria. This is one of the reasons. I'm going to read this out to you. Sorry, I could have put it on my screen. But it's so tiny that I may not be able to read from far from my screen. So I'll use my device that is close to my, Now, you have heard about the VAT war. VAT war. The reason why Nigeria is still Nigeria is because there is still some money being squeezed from the southern Nigeria. Okay. And some of you may never really know how huge the fraud called Nigeria is. Okay. And why you will remain underdeveloped, no matter where you come from, with the calibers of criminals that controls the wealth of that country. All right. Wealth redistribution, wealth creation. That can be the job through the policies of government that can really change your life directly. But in the last 6 years, after trillions of naira stolen, wasted, and then trillions of naira borrowed, right? This is the picture of what your Nigeria in the last 6 years have been under Buhari. Unemployment rate when they came in was put at 8.19%. But today it's put at 33.28%. That's even just like the official figure. Multiply that by 2, then you get 66.56%. That is the genuine one anyway, but let's work with this. Can you see the difference? From 8% unemployment to 33.28%. Food inflation. When you used to buy a bag of rice for 7,500 naira, you remember? That seems to be like years ago. It's like 10,000 years ago, Abi. No, it was just 6 years ago. They were supposed to make your life better, remember? No, they came to destroy you, destroy everything they could destroy, and still tell you or blame you that you are not doing enough, but they are not getting enough from you, okay? Now, from 9% to 22.7%, which is not true. You can say food inflation in Nigeria can be put at 300%. 300%. Because a bag of rice of 7,500 naira in 2015 today is 28,000, 30,000 naira per bag. How many 7,500 are you going to see in 28,000 naira? Is that 22% increase? How many of you are now talking about what you pay for your cooking gas and so many other things that you pay for? Are the increment 22%? Of course not. This one are the thing where they put for book, where they are what they are working with to help you. How can this help you when it's not even really, right? But let's work with it again. The Nigerian debt in figure was around 12.6 trillion in 2015. Today, it is 32.9 trillion. Your poverty has increased. They have borrowed more money. You are more in debt. Oh, gee. Now, go on to the foreign reserves. So, in these foreign reserves, right, the GPT they are doing there is that they can alter it. When they came in, they told you that they met no penny. Now, today, in that foreign reserve, they met 28 billion according to this data. Meanwhile, it is currently at 34 billion. So you can say they saved how much? 6 billion into your foreign reserve in 6 years, right? But they borrowed over, over $40 billion. Some said part of money they borrow, they deliberately just put them in the foreign reserve and make it look like they are saving. Another fraud that is not really working, because that didn't make the Naira in any way stronger. Not just that. Go on to the the exchange rates. When they came in, a dollar to a Naira was, a Naira to a dollar was 197 Naira to a dollar. Today, they put it at 410. You know it's not 410. It is now 570 Naira to a dollar today, 6 years after. Go on to your GDP. Your GDP in Nigeria has shrunk now, okay? When Goodluck Jonathan said he rebased your economy, they said your economy was worth, back then, your economy was worth over $500 billion. However, this data says it was 492 billion, okay? Under Bokwari in 6 years, they gave him this. They said your economy has shrunk to 429 billion. And that figure too is not true, completely true, because Nigerians' economy is now in negative. This is why, right? A country that has been hemorrhaging for the past 6 years because of the looting and incompetence of these criminals who came to loot, kill, and destroy, right? So your GDP growth, you were growing at 2.35%. In fact, you were growing about 3% in 2015, right? Today, you are now growing. You are now, regressing, or what do you call that? You are regressing as a country, okay? Which means you are now in negative. Nothing. Every 10, you see, when you have 10 Naira in Nigeria, every 10 Naira that your government make, I'm saying all of this just to let you know how all of this data affects you, why things are so hard for you, why it is so difficult to survive, and you are looking around and you are like, why are things so difficult for me? No village people is doing you. There is no witch or wizard holding your destiny. There is nobody that caused you. There is no generational causes working against your destiny. Look at all these figures I just gave to you now. The impact that they're having in your life is that you will be having so much difficulty surviving in an economy that is going to strangulate you. You are going to have a lot of money very soon, but it will become so worthless that you yourself will begin to know the impact of all this they are doing to you. Why they are doing all of that on different scale, right? And you have more people who have lost their jobs now. You have more businesses who are folded up now, right? You have more people who are being recruited into more crime, different crimes now everywhere. North, south, east, west, everywhere now. It is because everybody is going to react to a terrible economy, even if they pretend that they are not affected. You can join the bandwagon of those who love to blame people for their problems. Listen, this is also your problem. And no village people is after your life. Nobody is holding your destiny, like I said. This alone is an economy rigged against you. You can never survive within this, except you go criminally. Anyway, now, Nigeria, every time Nigeria has 10 Naira, 9 Naira of 10 Naira that Nigeria make is going into servicing debts. Let me explain that. Nigeria has become so indebted and Nigeria has become so broke that because not many people are working anymore, therefore, not many people have the, what do you call it? They call it spending power. I don't know if that's the right word. The people's spending power comes from when you have job, okay, and you get paid on time. You will pay your rent. You will pay for the electricity. You will buy food stuff. You will pay school fees. You will pay every other thing you want to get. May even buy yourself or, repair your car anyway, because when you work, you pay your tax before they pay you your salary. When you get your salary and you spend that money, purchasing power, God bless you. Thank you very much. I've got brilliant people on Maiyegun's Diary Politico, and they follow. The way to know that people actually follow my conversation is that they help me with some keywords. I love that. Thank you so much, Christopher. Your purchasing power comes from when you have ability to earn income. When your economy is rigged against you, more people are jobless. More businesses are closing up. That simply means less money for the government. In order for government to get more money, they will have to raise taxes on those of you who are working and those businesses that are still operating. And the more they raise the taxes, the more they will be strangulating many of you out of their businesses. The more the economy will be going badder and badder and badder, if there's any word like that. So that affects you directly in this regard, which simply means that not everybody is after you after all. However, when you don't have that power, you are subjected to the whims and caprices, the control of those who are able to offer those replacements. In this case, most of the time, people turn to philanthropists because they see the loopholes of having the opportunity of filling in the gap. Like I said, politicians do the most. And as rigged as Nigeria is, Nigeria is earning, let me put it this way, like I tried to explain there, right? Nigeria is earning less money now because, less people are working. Less businesses are operating. Apart from the poor electricity, poor infrastructure, and so many other things that are mitigating against smooth running of businesses in Nigeria, double taxation and the rest of that, the politicians in power continue, right, to destroy every little things that could help improve their economy in a way. So in this regard, Nigeria had to start borrowing money. That's why Nigeria is borrowing. In order to fill in the space that all of you that no longer have jobs, all of you have now managed to japa, left Nigeria, you won't pay tax to Nigeria anymore. And that is a loss to Nigeria. As you lose your job, Nigeria is losing. But politicians don't care because they can always find elsewhere to get the money in your name. In this regard, they have taken even beyond what they can pay back. Now, from whatever they earn from you, including money from petrol, if Nigeria make 10 naira this month, Nigeria is going to pay 9 naira to service their gbese. Not pay back debt. There's a difference between saying, I want to pay back my debt. No. Servicing means you are paying the interest accumulated on your different debts with different lenders every month. So when you put all that money together, you borrow money from this, you borrow money from that. This one will take 2 naira. That one will take 1 naira 50 kobo. That one will take 4 naira. This one will take 3 naira. By the time they take that naira, because it's the interest for that month, not the real debt, the entire country is now left with 1 naira. You can put my 10 naira into $10 billion. Well, you never make $10 billion. Well, put it in $10 billion, which is not true. You don't make $10 billion. Let's say you're making 100 million naira, $100 million. Put it in dollars. That's heavy with your naira, with your shitey naira now. So that simply means even if you are making 100 million, even if you are making $1 billion, your creditor, the people who borrowed you money, they are going to take $990 million of that money, and they'll give you $10 million. So you can then go and use that $10 million. What can you promote? Do with that? So that is why the money from VAT. I didn't know that money is that much. Oh, people, let me give you figures. The reason why they want to keep Nigeria one, and you should never let them do it, because it is at your own expense, at the expense of your own children, at the expense of your own healthcare, at the expense of your own children's education, your education, at the expense of your own future, job, better life. This is against what you should be standing for, keeping Nigeria one. Here is why. See, 8 months, really, in 8 months, 8 months, I want to tell you how much each state in Nigeria generated from VAT. The VAT there is your consumer, or should I call it consuming tax? Some of you are economists. You can help me out, whatever you call it. You see that value added tax? For anything, if you go hotel, go sleep, and they charge you 50,000 naira per night, that hotel is going to pay 7.5% of that money to the government of the state where you go hotel. If you come there inside that hotel and you decided to declare surplus, you begin to do the doings, like, the normal doings. They can't declare bar open. People can't drink. For every bottle of the drink you buy, whether na alomo bitters, whether na funogawo brukutu or ma forgot, whatever, whatever you buy there, every bottle, including table water and sachet water, pure water, the hotel, they will pay 7.5% to the state, the government of that state. Are you following? The only thing that I think you don't pay tax on is if you carry, you get what I mean? If you have to not want to sleep alone. That's, I don't know who those pay their taxes to, but that's the only thing you don't pay tax on. Like I said, that one you pay the tax to the person where you buy from, but that bottle. So it now depends on you. How do you develop your state enough, create the atmosphere where people can, I'm sorry, someone said, why do you have to use hotel? What about all of us where they buy pepper, where they buy all these things? They pay VAT on them too. Okay? But it's just that it is a different tax once they come to the pepper seller. In Lagos, now the Agbero and the local government Agbero, they collect that one. They collect money from pepper seller. They collect, that one. But I'm talking about if you buy, even from that hold up, if you should say, Aba, you check your bank account and you realize that the only thing where you get there now just 600 naira, and you they go house, no money, no nothing, and you decided to just, in the hold up, somebody is there, chilled alomo, inside 7-Up, Mirinda, and so many other juice there. You cited the alomo, code, chill. They say now 250 inside hold up. You say, well, if I perish, I perish. I don't buy ticket for bus already. I only have 300 naira in my account. And you decide to buy that alomo, 250 naira. You see that alomo? 7.5% of that 250 naira you just bought in that hold up goes to the government of the state you buy it from. Just like every other thing you buy. I don't know if they take the same thing on petrol. I don't know. But I'm talking about consumables now. So it's now up to you. I didn't know that, oh boy, Nigeria is a fraud. Nigeria is complete fraud. This is not how a country should run. No, forget it. There can be generous and prosperous states in a country, in a federation, and other people will have to discover their own ways, like not building a terrorist industry that you'll be using the money from the south to fund and be telling us that it is the problem of Nigeria. No, it's not the problem of Nigeria. This cutting out of the VAT is part of the systemic breakup of Nigeria. You may not know yet. And this is why. Watch. They said in 8 months, 8 months from January to August, Abia State generated. You can do the divide and division. I'm not really good at that. Okay. Abia State generated 2.29 billion naira. But when the total money they have collected from VAT is 20.02 billion. Abia generated 2.2 billion in 8 months. But because VAT money, the way that they do them, they will collect everybody's money, put it in a jar, and start distributing the money. Do you get that now? Adamawa even generated money than Abia. Adamawa generated 3.6 billion. Adamawa collected 22.2 billion in 8 months. Akwa Ibom generated 8.3 billion in 8 months. They collected 27.7 billion. From VAT, this is not oil money now, VAT. Anambra generated 5.9 billion in 8 months. Guess how much they collected? 25 billion. Bauchi generated 5.3 billion in 8 months. They collected 25.6 billion. Bayelsa generated 12.5 billion. But they got 17.6 billion. Somebody who generated 12 billion in 8 months collected 17 billion. But somebody who generated 2 billion collected 20 billion. Abia. Adamawa that generated 3 billion collected 22 billion. Anyway, Benue generated 1.2 billion. And that is understandable. Benue is known as the food basket of Nigeria, where almost half of the food you see in Nigeria comes from Benue farmers. The Fulani terrorists have destroyed Benue. Now all you have is not farms anymore. What you have mostly, right? They are now graveyards. Although they don't get VAT from farm produce, by the way. But maybe if there's no violence, if there's no terrorism, maybe they would have probably built industries to process their own food that they can collect VAT on. You dey dig? Wait for your states. No, they laugh yet. Or don't get angry yet. Okay? VAT in a bazaar. They just collected from the rich people, who hard working people who be say religion, no, they control their life. People who do things logically enough in a rigged system, but still pay. If they follow, then they use the money to service lazy states with lazy governors, unproductive criminals who think they can actually speak for you and me. Like, what in hell? Wait for your states. Benue State generated 1.2 billion. They collected Jesu 24.5 billion. That's how much Benue collected in 8 months from VAT. Throughout the 8 months, they only generated 1.2 billion. That's massive. Borno generated 3.4 billion. They collected 25.89 billion. Cross River generated 2.3 billion. And they also collected 20.47 billion. Delta states. Delta generated 13.96 billion. And they collected 27.85 billion. Ebonyi generated 7.8 billion. They collected 18.7 billion in 8 months. Edo generated 8.2 billion. and they collected 22.5 billion. Ekiti generated 6.6 billion and they collected 19.7 billion in 8 months. Enugu generated 5.4 billion and they collected 20.7 billion. These are not monthly. If I tell you that they generated this, that's how much they generated in 8 months. Every month, not that they are generating it every month. No. Total money they generated from January to August this year is what I meant by they generated. And the total money they collected during that period together from January to August. That's the total they collected. It's not that they collected that every month. No. Don't mix it up. Gombe generated 4.4 billion. Anyway, they generated 4 billion. And they collected 17.6 billion in 8 months. Imo generated 1.9 billion. Imo State collected 25.2 billion in 8 months. Jigawa generated 3.3 billion and they collected 26.4 billion. Kaduna has a company called the Nigerian Breweries. The highest payer of taxes in Kaduna is the Nigerian Brewery. In fact, they pay more than 90% of the totally generated taxes in Kaduna State. Quote me anywhere. They may tell you otherwise, but trust. But guess what? They have Kaduna Taliban called Isba. Just like the same way they have the Kano Taliban called Isba. Breaking bottle, produced, filled up by the Nigerian breweries that doesn't make their money from the north, but were compelled to set up their plant in the north at the center of the Sharia, where their trade is not welcome. But to fill in the quota system, they continue to pay taxes to Kaduna State government, even when their trade is completely against their Sharia. Now, Kaduna generates 18 points. So if Nigerian brewery moves out of Kaduna, you know what will happen? Abi, even Kaduna Littlefinger knows about this. Well, they generated 18.3 billion in 8 months from VAT alone. And they collected 32.72 billion. Kano generated 24.49 billion in 8 months. And they collected, the total they collected is 47.9 billion. Katsina, where Boko Haram comes from, they generated 3.78 billion and they collected 31.5 billion in 8 months. Masaku, that comes from there too. Kebbi generated 1.2 billion. You remember Lake Rice, the partnership between Lagos and Kebbi. So it's a short for Lagos, Lay, KE for Kebbi, Lake, and they called it Lake Rice. Last now for campaign, na GPT. So Kebbi generated 1.2 billion and they collected 22.1 billion. Kogi generated 3.2 billion, collected 22.2 billion. Kwara generated 3.4 billion, collected 19 billion. Oh, do you know the Father Christmas? Do you want to know who the Father Christmas was for the past years? Lagos. Lagos is the Father Christmas that is doing giveaway for free. Lagos generated in 8 months, VAT from Lagos alone was 430 billion naira. Guess how much Lagos collected in 8 months from that money? 139 billion. Now, do you know where the billions are coming from now? Lagos Abobaku. Are you listening? You, the Oshogbo Alimajiris. Are you watching? The humbled slaves, obedient fools, sophisticated morons. Are you watching? You listening? You've been the Father Christmas, and they won't even give you that special status they call Lagos special status they campaigned with in 2015, among other failed promises. I just thought I should remind you. As they wheeled your Tifnumbu, the Jaga bandit, the Jaga weary, the Jaga addict of Lagos to London, turned him to photo where everybody goes to take pictures today. Are you listening? Father Christmas. Father, you generated 429 billion, 430 billion, and they only gave you 139 billion. Even though the 139 billion, now here you go hear see, you know, go see you know what I'm talking about. Press the reset button now. Let's go further a little bit. I'm from Ogun State. So I'll stop by Nasarawa. Nasarawa generated 2.4 billion and they collected 16 billion Lagos money. Niger generated 3 billion and they collected 25 billion Lagos money. Ogun State generated 11.8 billion in 8 months. Ogun State collected 25.2 billion Lagos money. Ondo generated 4.5 billion. They collected 22 billion Lagos money. Osun generated 1.9 billion. They collected 24 billion Lagos money. Oyo generated, 64 billion. Well, this time around, I'm going to be adding the money of people they have been sharing. Guess how much Oyo State generated? Oh dear. Sheyi Makinde. In 8 months, Oyo generated 64.7 billion. Wow. They can do better. Do you see the potential I'm talking about? But guess how much they were given? Within that 8 months, Oyo State only collected 45 billion from their generated 65 billion. 20 billion inside the cookie jar for Zamfara, for Ogun State, for Osun State, for Ondo State, for Kogi State, for Abia State, for Enugu, for Cross River, from everywhere. It never finished. It never finished. It never finished. It never finished. Plateau State generated 5.2 billion. They collected 21 billion. Lagos and Oyo money. River State, wow. Wike that started the revolution now. Fiscal restructuring. River State generated 90.3 billion in 8 months. Guess how much they gave River State from that money? They gave them 46 billion. Who no go mad? Una dey craze? How una just rob us like, you know what I mean? Something that somebody who said for Biafra should control all their resources, multiply their potential, and use everything that can get them even better and across board if they are not part of Nigeria. Do you get what I mean now? Yoruba says, oh, we can stand alone. I think, yes, we can stand alone. Trust me. We can replicate Lagos everywhere across Yoruba land. We've never created any new cities in Yoruba land since Awolowo and the rest of them. We've never created any. We have Ibadan. We have this. These our forefathers created those cities, and they have been there since before the existence of Nigeria. We can replicate Lagos everywhere. Trust me, we can. If we are not part of Nigeria. Because replicating Lagos everywhere right now is impossible. You know why? Because you will now have the resources to do that when you are just a beggarly part of Nigeria. All your money taken from you. Where do you want to finance such dream? You can't when you are part of Nigeria. You can't. Now you hear that? Rivers State generated over 90 billion. They only gave them 46 billion. Who no go get mad? You should begin to get mad. And listen, it's not just about the VAT now. There are many other things they are robbing off you. Do you know something called education tax fund? Education tax. All the companies in Nigeria, all of them, are expected to pay 2% of their income, of their profit before tax. So if a company makes 1 billion naira profit, they will pay 2% of that tax, of that to education tax fund, before government will then charge them for their normal tax. That 2% is meant for education. And that 2%, when they collect the money, was meant to be used for the education. If they collected 2% from all the companies in Ogun State alone will have more than 40 to 50 billion naira every month that they will be using to fund education in Ogun State alone. See Lagos State. If Lagos State begin to take that 2% on education tax that federal government is collecting and putting in a new jar, and they are sharing it with all the people that are shutting down schools, all the people that are kidnapping school children, all the people that told us that book is haram, education is haram, and all this madness. Now imagine if Lagos State is keeping their 2% too, the same way they are going to keep their VAT. Now, think about that. Imagine what that would do on education alone in Lagos State. Just use it for education. Think about the billions of that, what that would be. That is what nation building can be in a structured country where there is indeed law and respect to boundaries, respect to people's boundaries, where you don't go about and start taking from people and start telling them that you do that because God created Nigeria. If God created Nigeria, how come God didn't give you what you will use to sustain Nigeria without other people from other parts? So bury that thought. Let's continue. Rivers State. Sokoto State generated 4.9 billion. They collected 24 billion. Lagos, Oyo, and Rivers State money. Taraba generated 1.7 billion. They collected 18.5 billion. Lagos, Oyo, and Rivers State money. Yobe generated 9.5 billion. They collected 20.5 billion. Lagos, Oyo, and Rivers State money. Zamfara generated. Oh dear. You remember I said Zamfara get gold. That's another fraud about Nigeria. Zamfara gold belongs to Zamfara. Abi? But Niger Delta oil, Southern oil belong to Jigawa. River State oil belong to Jigawa. Abia State, Imo State oil belong to Jigawa. Ogun State oil, Ondo State oil, Lagos State oil. When they begin to exploit them, right, they will belong to Sokoto, Kano, Jigawa as well. But Zamfara gold belong to Zamfara. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I've been reading out billions and billions of VAT money that they collected. Guess how much Zamfara generated? In 8 months, 2021, they generated 598 million naira. Let's give them a round figure. They generated 600 million naira in 8 months, Zamfara. Do you want to know how much they collected? They have collected in 8 months from VAT money. You want to know? I'll tell you, of course. Zamfara alone collected 35.8 billion. from the VAT money. Among other, you see, when I say VAT, I explain what VAT is to you, didn't I? This is just what you go out there to buy. This is not like whether you have job or whether you don't have work or it no matter. Maybe you dey eat. You dey flex once in a while. Abi, you know the flex. Raise up your pinky finger and say you know the flex. Even though if you don't get job, you know the flex. You know they buy food. As you they buy, they collect VAT from it. As you they pay money out, they collect VAT from it.